Your Comedy Minute. I'm Scotty T. I have a fabulous comedian, actor, writer. Scott Faulconbridge is with me today. Scott, I'm. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. Please call me Scotty F.
Scotty, what is it? Scotty F.
Scotty F. If you're Scotty T.
Oh,
We don't want
now,
to we don't
you,
want to
you,
confuse
you,
people.
yeah, well, you're already throwing me off for a loop because I have a whole, if you haven't watched any of these, I have a formula, and the slightest thing, I got problems, bud.
Oh,
Scotty F.
I'm so sorry about that. Please do your thing. I'm ready.
Hey man, this show's all about you, brother. You're in Canada, right? You're in Canada.
I am.
Well, I have had a batch of Canadian comedians and stuff on. Brad
Yeah.
Goss, Zahan Karsagar, Mark Trinidad, Majo, Riva De Niro. Love, I've been to Toronto. I love it up there. Were you born and raised in Canada?
So I'm
Okay.
originally from what they call La Belle Province in Montreal,
Okay.
and for many years lived and worked out of Montreal, where they have a
Okay.
big festival called the Just for Laughs Festival.
Okay.
While I toured across the country, that's basically how I got my start.
Okay. Well, and I guess the question is because I have here, you've been doing comedy for 30 years.
Oh my
That's
God,
correct.
really?
Well, that's that's what the crack, my crack staff put together for me
Okay.
here.
Oh, you get a staff?
30 years, but I want to know, was there a catalyst? Something, back then or whatever. Like for me, I was a class clown. I'm stupid as hell. So, was there something that made you say, instead of being a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, that you said, I'm going to do comedy?
Uh, yeah. I mean, there were a couple things, I guess.
Okay.
I was actually at one point I was doing sort of a pre-med program at McGill,
Wow.
and I got an interview to go to med school,
I pulled
and
that one out of my butt, didn't I? The doctor thing, didn't I? I didn't know that.
yeah, you did. And so I was like going kind of in that direction and thinking
Right.
about it, and I sat down for an interview, and I I don't think I took the interview seriously. Um,
Okay.
and the guy who was interviewing me asked me what my take was on abortion, which I think you're not supposed to do. But he asked me that, and I said, well, I was pro-choice. And then he said, well, then what you're telling me, if you're pro-choice, that if a woman walked in and asked you to chop off her leg, you would chop off the leg. And I said, give me an axe. And
Wow.
I
What
didn't
a
get in.
job interview.
Yeah, yeah. Don't say "give me an axe" during a job interview. So,
No.
I mean, there were signs, is what I'm saying, that
Yeah,
maybe I was
okay.
supposed to do something else. And then
Right,
I did improv at McGill for a couple of years, loved it.
right.
And a girl I was, and we would do improv in a stand-up club sometimes.
Okay.
And this girl who I was trying to date while she was trying to get rid of me. Um,
While she was trying to get rid of me.
yeah, she took me to a stand-up show and said, you should be doing this. This is what you should be doing. You
Okay.
should not be doing me. You should be doing this. And uh
Ended
I
up doing comedy and no
I
longer
ended,
was doing her.
yeah, yeah. She
Well,
wisely had no interest. And that's where it started.
but no, that's great. That's great. She got you. She steered you in the right direction.
She
She
did.
served her purpose.
She she did. She did. She did herself a favor.
Well, we're going to keep moving along because we have so much to cover.
Mhm.
You toured, as you said, you've been all over, Canada and the United States, and I'm going to get into all that. But one that jumped out at me just because I love it. You opened for Howie Mandel.
I did. I did. I mean, that was just
Yeah.
one of those gigs that sort of popped up. Some other bald guy dropped out as the opener, so they looked for me. I think is how it happened. It was actually, I think it was the club owner in Montreal who did comedy, was supposed to open for him, couldn't make it, sent me in, and you know, it was in a big theater, the National Arts Center there, I believe it
Yeah.
was. And yeah, I got to meet and open for Howie Mandel. It was great.
That was, and the reason is because, and this is just me personally, but I'll never forget his first HBO special or something where he did his crowd work and was like, what's your name? What's your name? He was just hilarious. It was one of my favorite bits to this day. I put it up there with one of the best comedy. And not, again, it's comedy's funny as far as people like this or that, but I just
Sure.
loved it. Was he a nice guy?
Yeah, he was super nice. And we touched elbows, and it was
He
great.
touched, yeah, yeah. He doesn't. He's a germaphobe. He doesn't.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I didn't know if I should ask about that when I met him, so I just instinctively went for the elbow, and it turned out to be a good move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't. At least everything I've ever seen, it's always he
Yeah,
doesn't like people touching him.
yeah,
But
which
also,
if
let's.
you've met enough people in this business, fair enough.
Yeah, that's true. Let's keep going. You've been in some movies and you have a couple albums out. Do you want to
Yeah,
mention? Do you want to mention that? I mean, we. I just want to cover all the accolades because we'll get to some of the other stuff.
sure. I mean, look, I was a what they call a bit player in
You're
the
in a
movie,
movie, man.
and got to do those things. I think my maybe I mean the one that I'll always remember is doing The Greatest Game Ever Played, which was a Disney film. Shia LaBeouf was the main
Yeah,
actor, and I did some stuff with him. But the interesting thing was a guy named Bill Paxton.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he was the director of the film. I like
Wow.
arguably the most famous person on the set was the director. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of cool, and there were a ton of really good British actors playing the
Yeah.
British golfers in that. It was a
Yeah.
story of the 1911 U.S. Uh, Open. Was it the U.S. Open? Yeah, the first time an
Yeah.
amateur one, and based on a book of the same story. And yeah, that was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. It's neat. It's neat. Different experiences. For me, being in Madison Square Garden, Whitney Houston, or the stuff I did in the music business, be it with ZZ Top or whatever. Yeah, it's just experiences that are so wild. But let's move on to Falcon Bridge falling down. Falcon Bridge is falling down
Right.
because that's a very impressive. I was on YouTube. You have season one, 6 episodes at least that I've seen. Right,
Mhm. Yeah.
very well done stuff, Scott. I mean, very well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, we just completed that last year. And that was a 6 10 minute episode,
Right?
limited series that we did for Bell Five,
Yeah,
um, which
I
is,
have that written down.
it's a small amount of like low budget stuff, and everyone in the local comedy community sort of jumped on the opportunity to try to do something with it. And we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing, stand up more or the stuff like that?
So I love it all. I love connecting.
Okay.
Like so when you're doing stand up and you've come up with something that's new, and other people are getting it. God, that's a great feeling, right?
Right.
Who
Right.
who doesn't love that feeling? And then, but over the years, what I've discovered is like I get bored easily, so I need to do different things.
Right.
That's because I'm a terminal asshole. But
Wait. Say that again.
I just get bored very quickly.
Yeah, and then the next part.
Yeah, I'm a terminal asshole.
Okay. All right. No, I
Oh, sorry,
just
so
wanted to be sure I heard it
that's
okay.
just what my wife calls me.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I'm sorry. I just, and I wasn't be I'm look, man, I'm in all of you. I think you're amazing.
well, I don't want. I'm trying to keep the volume down because if my wife hears that, she'll come in, and tell you the truth. But
No, no,
um,
no. Well, we can keep going because you have a 6-year-old, don't you? And is it there's still six, seven?
I did have one. Unfortunately, she grew out of that.
Okay,
My
okay, all right.
yeah, my
At
youngest
one point,
is
I don't want to give it away, but weren't you trying to sell the child?
oh, when they were born, yes, yes. I mean, I have never had such little sleep in my life. The entire experience. Well, I don't actually remember most of it because I was semi-unconscious throughout the first 4 years of their existence. Um, but I was quickly read the riot act. Apparently, you're not allowed to sell children, even if they're
Yeah,
your own. Um,
you do a
and
bit. You do a bit. I don't want to interrupt, but the bit with the cartoon. Oh my God, that's one of my favorites. 7:15, 7:15, or
oh
7:30,
God,
15 more
yes,
minutes.
yes.
That's oh my God, comedy gold, brother. Comedy gold.
I appreciate that. I mean, these, as someone once told me, they said something to the effect that I think you've forgotten more bits than you currently
Yeah.
have, and I think that's probably true. But
Well,
I do
can we
remember doing
try?
that.
Can we try one more? I'm just throwing them out there. I'm trying to throw. If you don't notice, trying to throw you some softballs here. Home Depot.
Home. Oh yeah. Are you trying
Home
to get me to
Depot
do the
and light
material?
bulbs. What's that?
Are you trying to get me to do the material?
You don't have to. I was thought you'd want to.
Uh,
We can move on to my little list if you want.
I'm so sorry. I
Boy,
look.
Scott, this
I'm
thing
very
this
in the
thing's come off
now.
the rails.
I'm
It's
very in the now. You know what I mean? Like
okay. Okay. All
I
right. Well, then
apologize.
well, listen. It's called your comedy minute. I'm going to shut up. You talk about whatever you. Yeah. I got fired from Lowe's. That's why that whole Home Depot bit really because it's so spot on.
Um, oh yeah, I mean it's getting service there. It's you have to
Yeah.
hunt people down and
Yeah.
chase them through the aisles, and I mean I think at the time I was caring about life and trying to
You
build my
cared.
home up. What's that?
You cared about life at
I
that
cared
point.
about life back then enough to
Okay,
go
you don't
to.
care anymore.
No, I don't care if my
Well,
house
that
falls
explains
apart.
why you're on my show. Now I figured out why you decided to come on the show. You
No,
just don't
no.
care anymore.
I
You're like
like you.
Phil Collins. I don't care anymore.
I don't care. That's
And you
actually the title
sing
of my
too,
next
don't you? You
album.
you, you sing too, don't you? Jesus, you do it all.
Oh God. So I mean,
Plumbing work? Do you do plumbing work?
I
Electrical?
I have. Why do you need some work done?
A doctor? Jesus God, you fix the pipes?
Yeah. A Renaissance man in an age when there's absolutely no excuse to
I'm
be one.
sorry. I'm
Um,
sorry, Scott. I'm
it's
sorry.
totally fine. But I mean, you mentioned the singing, so I did not sing at all. This is true. I would say about 22 years into doing stand up, and then
Okay.
I get bored, and
Are you bored with me yet? You just
no,
let me know when you're ready. You can
no.
just
Well, you
just
keep
jump.
throwing things at me, and so I actually
I'm I
appreciate that.
I'm
Um,
trying, brother. I'm trying.
as I mentioned, I'm an improviser at heart, but yeah, no, I taught myself how to play. I play four chords. No, wait, I play five chords, but I
Okay.
have a couple songs I use in my show, and they seem to
Yeah.
go over well.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun thing. A fun thing. I don't consider myself a musician. I consider myself a comedian who dabbles with music, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a nice blend. I just had the guy that's coming up tonight. He has a thing called Strings Attached, and it's him and a couple guys, guitars and drums, and they do some songs, and then they do comedy, and I think it's a nice mix.
Yeah, I do too. It breaks up a show, like when you
Yeah.
do it 45 minutes to an hour and then you throw a song in.
Do a couple songs.
I throw in improv and music. I
Yeah.
kind of have a touring partner that I work with.
You can mention him. Go ahead, mention him.
A guy named Justin Shaw, great guy.
Justin
Um,
Shaw, right? I saw
yeah,
that.
he does stand up, but he also does a lot of like one man fringe shows, and he's very theatrical plus funny. Does improv with
Right.
me,
Okay.
and yeah, he I met him because he took my class, and I
Okay.
occasionally would teach a comedy class, and he
Okay.
took the class, and he was one of those students who would not go away, like just would call me all the time. He was always writing 5 new minutes. Like he was just ferocious, and I respected the hell out of that.
Finally, he just said, "Heck with it! I got to get this guy on the team."
Like I respect people that are like just constantly creating. And he's
Yeah.
like one of those guys. So
Well,
yeah.
why don't you, if you don't mind, again, you're in charge. But I just saw a post last night. It was like 9 o'clock at night or something on Instagram, and then confirm, I went over and then I saw it on Facebook today. You're all dressed in green. What's that all about?
Oh, so after I did the sketch show you mentioned, Faulconbridge is falling
Right.
down,
Yeah. This is something new, right?
which is something new. So I went back to Bell to see what we could do again, and
Okay.
but I could only do the exact show I did that you saw if I had more money, because I called in a lot of favors to make that.
Okay. Yeah, that was a
And
big production.
we did some. I won't talk the numbers, but it was easily 3 times the budget, and certainly crappier things have been made for 10 times the budget. So
No, it was great stuff. It was, you just tell it was very professionally done.
and I brought in pros who worked at a very fair rate because they liked the scripts, and everyone was
Yeah, it
like,
was good stuff.
it was good stuff.
Okay, so we're on
But
to the new one. The new
I
one,
was on a new one. I couldn't get more like this a set
funding
budget.
for
I just couldn't call in that many favors again, so I adjusted the format to like a just a fun lower hybrid form of. There's a bit of sketch because sketch is very expensive, right? Sketch is like
right,
it's a different setup every location and different
right.
characters every time, so that kind of adds up. So that's when I always want to do something that was uh, daily show-ish, um,
Okay,
and have fun with that. So I basically pitched them a satirical, journalism investigation show. It would have a bit of sketch because we do reenactments of things that are happening in my hometown.
right.
And
Okay,
so it was a bit of a hybrid from the first season, but something I could actually afford to do.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
and
by the
that's
way, if anyone listening wants to send me money, I'll do the sketch show. I'm just
okay.
throwing that out.
Scott, I'm going to do everything I can do to help. When I air this, I'm going to put the links to everything because you have a separate page for Faulconbridge Falling Down, another one for your comedy. You're just a multi-talented, unbelievable guy. You just, and which brings me to I want to be honest on how this came about
Mhm.
because I'm not proud of it, but I'm just going to tell you.
And now I really want to know.
Do you know how this came about?
Uh, I don't, although I think you might have interviewed someone I know. Is that correct? Is that
Well,
hat?
I've done a couple. I've done Mark Trinidad, if you know
Okay.
Mark. I did Brad Goss. I did Zahan. But
Right.
Rick Alexander contacted me,
Ah.
and he wanted to do the show, but his webcam he didn't think was up to snuff, and he said, I'll get back to you. And so, but he had added me up as a friend, so I see a post. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen you over the years because you were on Last Comic Stand and stuff, but I didn't, my brain's sewer hole. So I see this post and it says about I'm always learning from this guy, and you're up on a table in bare feet.
Mhm.
And he said, and I said to myself, I gotta talk to this guy. I gotta know what's going on here.
Right. Uh,
That's it. That's part of it. That's I'm serious. I was intrigued by that.
sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, you find yourself in weird situations when you
Right.
perform uh, bar gigs. So I got a call. It's funny how that came about. I got a call like 2 hours before that show happened saying,
Okay.
"Do you have anything to do tonight?
Okay.
We had a show collapse. Do you want to?" So I drove up north a little bit and I did
Right.
the show in question. And it was one of those situations where they're not enthusiastic. They were smiling a lot, but
Yeah.
it felt disconnected. And the acts were funny and doing fine, but some audiences they just want to go like this, like they just want to nod and smile
Only without the laugh. Yeah, I got you.
or the laughter for an hour. And so when I got up, I walked across the tables into the middle of the room, and all they need is a little bit of adrenaline, and
A little coaxing.
I probably scared the shit out of the lady that was underneath me, but I performed that room. Like I just, you just like grab them a bit, and that's all. I mean, it's just what you call a veteran comic move, basically.
Veteran comic move.
Yeah.
Did you actually take off your shoes? Was that right?
Yes. Yes. I got some pushback on that one. So
No,
so I
I'm sorry. I just did.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I like that you brought it up. So I took the shoes off because, being a well-mannered Canadian boy like I am, you never walk on a table with your shoes on. I just made that up, by the way. But it just seemed
You
like
didn't
the
even have
polite
I
thing
didn't even
to.
think you had socks on, brother. You
I
didn't have
suck.
socks on. Did you have bare? You were bare feet.
Was I?
At
I
least the picture I saw looked like they were bare feet. Looked like just bare dogs walking across the
maybe
table.
I miscalculated on that one, but I don't know.
I,
Like I
I,
all I
hey,
knew was it felt
I'm not
weird.
sure myself now. But you
It
can
felt
see why I
weird
was
walking
intrigued.
across the tables with the shoes. So, my brain like when you start performing, I go into lizard brain mode, like just my goal right there was get attention. So I just took the shoes off, walked across the stage, and you could feel the energy change because
Yeah,
either they were into the comedy show or they thought they were going to get killed by a madman, but either way they were
you
paying
lit them
attention.
up.
Yeah.
You got them going. Well, I'm going to do one more question, and I'll let you get going before you come at me. Um, no, I want to make sure that we cover everything. But I like this question. It's one of my favorites. I always ask, especially someone like you that's been doing it a long time. Do you have a favorite show that you've done, which is wonderful? I'm happy.
Mhm.
Least favorite show where it was bad.
You want both?
Well, of course. Boy, you're sharp as a bowling ball, son. You're sharp, sharp.
Well, I
No,
wasn't
just
sure.
just
Uh,
just do your favorite show, and we'll do your comedy minute. We'll just call it a day. That's cool.
yeah.
There's no meat in the bone there.
So
Favorite
my
show. Do your favorite show.
my favorite show was my very first what they call Just for Laughs gala. Uh,
Okay.
and I'd been in comedy for just a couple of years.
Okay.
And um, on the show was John Panette,
Okay.
and he was on just after me.
Okay.
And I had this bit called "Pin in My Cock," um, and
Okay.
I did a completely clean set, and then I did "Pin in My Cock," and I was told not to, and I couldn't. I ended up like crushing, just crushing, and
With
doing
pin in
everything I
my
was.
cock. With pin in my cock.
Yeah, it put me on the map with a lot of people in LA because it was just a great set.
Are
And
you serious?
yeah, because that set got me
Wow.
management in Los Angeles, and like when you break the rules,
Oh, I know about that.
people pay. So, and I was like, all these people are in the room. I'll probably never see them again. Pin in my cock. And So I did the clean set that they wanted. I took a breath, waiting, making sure they would, because I knew they were going to edit, and then I did 2 minutes of the
Pin in
pin,
my cock.
and the room just exploded. Because contrast is always funny, and then
You don't want to do it, do you?
I could probably do it.
It's up to, listen, it's your show. It's called Your Comedy Minute. I really want you because you seem like you might get angry. You might come at me like a spider monkey or something.
That's my secret weapon. Um,
See, I've been moving back.
so Pin in My Cock was I was doing a Shakespeare play, and halfway through the play, um, um, I had this pin in my costume, and halfway through the play, the safety pin became a pointy pin. And my next line in the play was supposed to be God, God forgive us all. But what I said was, there's a pin in my cock. And then I go on a long rant about that. And it always worked. I think comics liked it because it was the exact opposite of what I normally did. And so John Panette follows Pin in My Cock, and he walks up to me. And to me, John Panette was just like this machine. And
Okay.
he just comes up to me really quickly, goes, yeah, you made me work. You made me work for it. It was the biggest, and he
Made
was
you feel
super
good.
nice. Yeah, super
Yeah.
nice. But he said, you had for a second,
Made
I
me
thought I was
work.
going
Yeah.
to have I was going to have to really,
Yeah.
work it. I think it took him all of 5 seconds to to grab them, but
You kind of upstaged him.
I made him feel it. He was
Yeah.
too good. The guy was way too
Yeah.
good.
No, I can like I worked in the music business where the opening act is better than the headliner.
Right, right, and
It happens.
it happens.
Yeah.
By the way, it did not happen in this case, but he wanted to
No. I
he
wasn't even
took the
saying
time
that.
to let me know, hey,
Yeah, you
I had to work for that.
cool.
So that was
Well,
kind
that
of
was your favorite show.
that was my
Now you
favorite.
have a least favorite show.
My least favorite show was,
You know what I'm looking for here, don't you?
oh yeah, I think
Okay. All right.
my least favorite show was I was in a bar in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia,
Okay.
and there was a cappuccino machine in the back of the room, and it made
Okay.
this sound like yeah. And so I go up it's really loud. I go up to the guy and say, is it possible like to not use that machine while we're on stage? And it's like, sure, no problem. That there won't be a problem. Don't worry about it. So I get up on stage, and about 5 minutes in, all of a sudden I hear and it's a huge distraction. And remembering my earlier conversation, I was attempting to make fun of the bartender. And I said something like, look, I don't know who you are back there, but take your forklift and go the fuck home. And all of a sudden, from the back of the room, what I heard was, it's the hydraulic system to my wheelchair. I was just trying to adjust it so I could laugh easier.
No.
And so I said, oh, I did the only thing you can do. I
Let's
basically
move you to the
cried.
front. Come on, front.
Yeah, I said, look, I'm so sorry. Obviously, I didn't know. And then, without missing a beat, she said, it's okay. That's the funniest thing you've done all night.
Ooh. Yeah,
Yeah. Then she
that's
got
fun.
really drunk
Okay.
and raced around the stage for an hour while I while I did the play by play. So it worked out in the end. Um,
Okay. That's that's a least and a favorite together.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Scott, look, man, we're gonna run out of time. We only got a few minutes left, but I wanna
Okay.
make sure that we cover the latest venture is called
Faulconbridge
Faulconbridge.
is finding out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's a sort of satirical investigative journalism show where I look into a combination of ghosts and excessive swearing in society. Um,
Maybe I can come on. Fuck, I can do it. uh no, but anything else you got? Again, I'm going to put all the links to your Facebook, Instagram. Do you have TikTok?
I do. I do.
Okay, I'll put the links to everything, and I know you're still touring, doing shows with your buddy, and
Yeah.
I want to make sure we cover everything. And if you want, if you had a good time, you're welcome to come back when you launch the new show, and we'll promote the hell out of it together. I'll do what I can to help.
Scott, I really appreciate this interview and I appreciate you for whatever that is worth in this
Oh,
crazy world we do. It's a crazy world out there.
it is a crazy world.
But you strike me as doing being a good guy.
I like to think so, brother. I
Yeah.
have no ulterior motive other than to try to make people laugh. I swear to God.
That's that
I
that
swear
that
to
is a
God.
good thing. All right.
Scott Faulconbridge, your comedy minute. Go ahead, buddy.
So I am 58 years old, and
Right?
you celebrate things differently when you're
Sure.
50, 58. You
Yeah.
know, like for example, just last week, very exciting news. I just found out my childhood bully died,
Okay.
which is which is which is great. No more looking over my shoulder at lunch, and
Right.
I'm so pumped about because I take care of myself because this
Yeah.
doesn't just happen.
Right.
Yeah, I work out at the gym. I get lots of compliments. Looking good, Mr. Burns. But here's the thing that I don't like about the gym is people who are like half my age telling
Yeah.
me how they feel old
Yeah.
at the gym. Like you'll hear things like, "Oh, I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20." Oh yeah, I'm closer to death than I am to birth.
By the way, Scott, I'm 62.
Uh, so you know of what I speak.
I think it was Red Fox, whatever. I'm not over the hill, but I got a clear view of the top.
Yeah,
Let me stop the recording. We'll chat for a minute off the air.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Is that all right? You have anything
Yeah.
else real quick? I think we only got a minute or so.
Okay.
Let me stop the recording.